But just one more here in Russia. Do you think this strengthens the Ukrainian effort, or is there an alternative view, and the cynics have suggested this, that there's some kind of conspiracy going on, that it might all just be a ruse to lure Ukraine into a false sense of security and also be a ploy ahead of the Russian election next year? Are you buying into that at all, Simon?
Well, look, there will always be lots of conspiracies, and I'm not going to hold myself out as an expert to know precisely what is happening within Russia, and I doubt there are many people in Australia who could claim to do that. But what we do know is that Ukraine has shown a heroic defence of its nation since this illegal and immoral invasion began last year. They have defied all odds to date, and they deserve the continued backing of their many partners around the world, where we're not just talking about backing them for the sake of Ukraine's defence. We're talking about backing Ukraine in defence of smaller nations having secure borders against larger neighbours, in defence of international rules, laws and norms that we all rely and depend upon. And that's what's so critical about helping Ukraine through this.
OK, let's get to Richard Marles' package now, Simon. He announced it yesterday, on its way to Ukraine. What's your view on it? Is it enough?
It's come too slowly as support package, and it is frankly too little at this stage. Australia in the early days of the Ukraine war was the largest non-NATO contributor and had a comprehensive package of significant modern military equipment, along with humanitarian assistance and energy assistance. This package is using some of it quite old military equipment that was soon to be retired by the Australian Army. It's much smaller in scale. It has only a token humanitarian contribution and no energy support. And so, frankly, we think there should be a clear rethink by the Albanese government, and they should look specifically at the requests Ukraine has made themselves for Australian Hawkeye vehicles, for Australian tanks, for the type of support in demining they've asked for too.
On Hawkeyes, the claim from the government is that it's not suitable for the Ukrainian environment. There is a fault in the anti-lock braking system. I mean, is that fair enough?
Well, look, the braking system might be a concern for Australian roads, but we're talking about Ukrainian war conditions, and I'm sure they're very conscious of those issues. Talis, the manufacturer, are also well placed to be able to provide European support in terms of the sustainment of such vehicles. I think there really needs to be a closer look in terms of why it is Ukraine is wanting these vehicles, some independent analysis there. It feels at present that because the Albanese government isn't replenishing what defence is giving up, these are all coming out of the existing Australian Defence Force budget without any additional support, that perhaps there is some understandable reluctance in the Defence Forces to provide modern equipment, and they would rather get rid of some of the older equipment that's there. Now, that's understandable from their perspective, but what we should be doing is ensuring there is a real commitment there from Australia for modern equipment to help Ukraine do the best on the battlefield, which they have done so well to date. OK,
I know you got to go, but just a quick one here before you do. S&P Global's found Australia's economy will be one of the worst performing in the Asia Pacific over the next 2 years because of interest rates. Is that in line with your expectations, Simon?
We've seen 2 Albanese government budgets now. The last one was clearly described by many economic commentators as expansionary and therefore inflationary. This is harm being caused in Canberra to our economy, and all Australians are sadly paying the price, and we can now see that external economic analysts are looking into Australia and saying, well, we can see the pain that's going to come because Australians are paying the price of those higher interest rates and higher inflation.
Simon Birmingham, thanks for your time. We'll talk to you soon.